Okay, 2.1. We are now the master of lines. The master of lines. So, slope. We call that M. M is always referred to rise over run. But if I had a more formal definition for that, if I'm given two ordered pairs, I could say that it is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And it doesn't matter which points you choose to be x1, y1, x2, y2. So for instance, this negative 3, 4 and 6, 8, you could switch those around. But the y's need to go together and the x's need to go together. So you're just finding the distance between those two. So for number 1, 8 minus 4 over 6 minus a negative 3. So 6 plus 3, which gives me 4 over 9. Number 2, negative 4 plus 7 over negative 2 minus 6 gives me 3 over negative 8. I'm going to go ahead and put the negative on top just because I like to write it that way better. You can also put the negative out in front. So you could say negative 3 over 8. Or you could leave the negative with the 8. But I want us to start getting out of that habit because that's what babies do. You don't leave the negative on the bottom. Okay, number 3, 5 minus 5 over negative 6 minus 3 gives me what?
0 over negative 9.
0 over negative 9. When you have a 0 on top, would that be a horizontal line or a vertical line? Horizontal. Good. So when 0 is on top, we say that is a 0 slope, which means it is, and I'm writing over this because I just didn't zoom in enough, which means it is a horizontal line. So maybe you have enough room for that. The way that I remember that is by the acronym HOI VUX. Have y'all learned that, I think? So what that stands for is that a horizontal line is a 0 slope, and it is a y equals equation. V is for vertical, it is an undefined slope, and it is an x equals equation. So HOI VUX. You might want to write that out somewhere. So then number 4, can I take 4 minus 8 over negative 2 plus 2? And so that gives me what? Negative 4 over 0. Now my 0 is on the bottom, so that's an undefined slope. Okay, for 5 through 8, you're going to now be looking at the graph. I want you to find the slopes of all 4. You don't have to write the equation, just the slope. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. When you finish, check it with your partner, and then you're going to check it on the board.
This is map items here.
Okay, here are the numbers that I got. Questions about 5 through 8.
Oh wait, if we write it as 5 over 1.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's easier for me to write it that way because if they're asking.
Like rise over run. That makes sense. Okay, flip the page. The next one, we're talking about the comparison between parallel and perpendicular lines. Yay. Parallel means the slopes are the same, or they are equal. They have to be the same sign. They have to be the same numbers. They have to be exactly the same. Y'all ever seen that? I wouldn't really call it a meme because it's not a meme, but it's like a picture and it says Parallel lines have so much in common, it's a shame they'll never meet. Yeah, it's funny. No one's laughing.
Like you and Mr. Simon.
I think it's funny. Okay, the perpendicular lines have slopes that are what?
Negative,
They're different. Negative reciprocals.
reciprocals.
I don't know how to spell it. Reciprocals. I think that's right, but I don't know. Reciprocals. And so that means you're going to switch the numbers and you're going to flip the sign. So flip, sign, and switch. Needs to be both. So for number 9, I'm going to find the slopes of both lines, 1 and 2, and I'm going to compare them and see if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. My only suggestion with these is, like, you're probably thinking this is so easy, but here's what I guarantee is going to happen. You're going to try to fly through this on a quiz and you're going to make a simple mistake and you're going to be upset about it. So be careful. Something that I noticed when I was grading the tests, Megan, you did this, you wrote on the top of your page, you were like, take your time. And I loved that because it was like, you need to remind yourself to take your time, because when I pass back the test today, you're going to see that you made really dumb mistakes, that you knew what you were doing, but you just were going too fast, because all of you turned your test in 45, 50 minutes. Not saying that that wasn't the right amount of time, but just saying, take your time. So on this, it's so simple that it's hard. That's the way I like to describe it, because it's so simple, but you might make a careless mistake.
I did not write take my time. Probably why I didn't do so slow.
3 plus 1.
Yes.
Okay, so I got negative 3 over 2, and then I simplified to positive 2 over 3. So what would that make these two lines? Perpendicular. Perp. Okay, I want you to try 10 through 13. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. You can split them up with the person next to you if you want to do 2 and 2. Then compare. If you don't have anyone, you have to do all 4. I'm sorry. You can blame Tommy if he's watching this. Tommy, you should be here right now. Okay, so number 10, parallel. They're the same. Number 11, perpendicular, because negative reciprocal.
So many.
Number 12 is neither. This is going to be tricky. I thought about this being the killing puppy, but I don't think it's worth it, because I really don't think you're going to make this mistake. Because I really don't think so, because 9 over 5 and 5 over 9 are not negative reciprocals. They're just reciprocals. There's no sign change. So it's neither.
Yeah, I would have done that.
13,
Wait, I have a question.
I just don't think it's worth it, because we won't kill very many puppies doing this.
So you want
If
us
we're
to kill
going to
many-
kill
I don't, but
we gotta go all out.
You want to make it obvious to us.
I gotta pick one mistake that everyone is gonna make, and I don't think that number 12 is a mistake that everyone is gonna make. So that's why it's not even worth my time.
Biggest
Yeah,
mistake
that's
I'd
So
make
you
is,
think we will make
I think the biggest mistake I'd make is just switching like
So do
the
I.
X and Y. 'Cause I did that on
I
10.
was right. That's what matters.
I did negative 3 minus 1 instead of negative 3 minus 1.
Oh, yeah. Okay, number 13 is perpendicular, and the reason being, because you probably got 0 over 3 and 7 over 0. And these two numbers are not the same, but that does not matter, because any horizontal and vertical line are all, no matter where they are located, they are always perpendicular to each other. Because the formal definition of a perpendicular line, or two perpendicular lines, is that they form a 90-degree angle. So, no matter where they're located, they're always going to form some sort of 90-degree angle. So, all vertical plus horizontal lines are always perpendicular. I want you to write that down. Because you're going to look at it and be like, the 3 and the 7 do not match. They are not negative reciprocals of each other. However, all vertical plus horizontal lines are always perpendicular because they form a 90-degree angle. And that is what the formal definition of a perpendicular lines are, that they form 90-degree angles. You learned that last year in geometry. Slope-intercept form is used for graphing lines. That's the only time it's used because I don't really like it any other time.
What's the other form called?
Point slope. So, what is the formula? Y equals... Yay! We can make a song out of that.
Is this what we use?
No, not what was that song we had to learn? The quadratic. Wait, that was
That's
Miss
perfect.
Lionel?
Oh my gosh, how do you remember that?
I didn't even remember that. I just remember being annoyed at
Okay, M is your slope, B is your y-intercept. So, let's do 1 through 4 together, and then I'm going to have you do 5 through 10, and then we're going to call it a day. Number 1, slope is -2 or -2 over 1. And then the y-intercept would be 0. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit so that you can see. I'm going to just give myself some room. So slope is the coefficient in front of the x, so -2. If there is no number outside, then it's just 0. So to graph, I'm going to put my y-intercept at 0, 0. To do a negative slope, I'm going to go down 2 to the right 1. Down 2, right 1. And you really only need 2 or 3 points. Other than that, I won't be too picky. You can use a ruler too. I have a few, but if you're that kind of person. What? They're behind my desk. Okay, number 2. Slope is what? There's no number in front, so I assume that it is a 1. Y-intercept is -2. Remember to keep the sign in front. So I'm going to put a point at -2, up 1 over 1. Y equals 3. Is that a horizontal or vertical line?
That is a
Hoivux. Horizontal. Something you could write at the top of your test is Hoivux. That might be helpful. So that means that your slope is 0 and my y-intercept is 3.
Upper school, pardon the interruption. At this time, we have several.
Number 4. It's not in slope-intercept form, so how do I get it there? I had to get y by itself.
You can move the 6x over.
So 2y equals -6x plus 10. Divide everything by 2. Now my slope is what? And my y-intercept is? Good. So I'm going to put a point at 5, go down 3, over 1. I always usually go to the right because when I go to the left, or when people go to the left, it confuses them.
Okay, so always go to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're gonna write that.
And then if it's negative, you go down. If it's positive, you go up. Okay, so 1 is a vertical line. 2, 2/5 slope, y-intercept 4. 7 is a horizontal line. 8 is a vertical line. And I just counted by 2s because there wasn't room on the graph. But you could have just drawn all the way to 6 and made an extra line. Number 9, when you solve, you get -5 over 2x plus 3 over 2. Please keep them as a fraction. Do not write it as a decimal. Keep the fraction. And so when you go to plot the y-intercept, I'm just going to go somewhere in between, because 3 over 2 is about 1.5. I'm going to go somewhere in between 1 and 2. And then I'm going to go down 5, right 2. Then on the last one, you get 4/3 x plus 10 over 3. The only time that you can think about a decimal is just where you would approximate it. So 10 over 3 is about 3 1/3. So I'm going to go in between 3 and 4 and make a dot. I'm going to go up 4 over 3 from there. And like I said, I want it to be close, and I want you to have the dot between 3 and 4, but it doesn't have to be exactly at the third point. I'm not going to be too picky about that. So any questions about this right here? So your homework for sections for chapter 2 so far is going to be 2.1 all, and then 2.2, I only want you to do 1 through 12, because we're going to stop here today for 2.2.